Hello and welcome to this special 4th of July reading for the United States in 2022. I really wanted to look at today's energy because it feels quite important. So we're going to have quite a deep dive into the 4th of July energy and tendencies here to see what's going on. I've got 9 cards for you in total. These are the first 3 that I've actually got laid out. So let's dive on in. Okay, as you can tell, I'm not a US citizen from my accent. I don't know an awful lot about the 4th of July. I mean, I know a bit. I know it's Independence Day, and I suppose us Brits, we have a certain view as to what that is. It seems like a very hopeful day for the United States, for Americans. It seems to be something you guys really enjoy and that's very meaningful for you. It's certainly not something that we take offence at, just to dispel that myth, not at all. It's something that we find kind of, I would say, sweet, actually. It's nice to see people enjoying themselves and actually being allowed to celebrate the country that they live in, something that us Brits aren't really encouraged to do quite so much. So, but despite that, what I'm seeing, straight off the bat with these cards here is actually quite a subdued feeling for this 4th of July, which I think is a bit of a shame. It feels quite subdued, feels a bit sadder than usual. People's energy and excitement levels, it doesn't feel like they're quite so high. Which is disappointing. There's a real feeling of disappointment, I want to say, this year, not just in the celebration itself, which may actually be hampered by restrictions or people not being able to travel, but there's a real disappointed feel, I think. There's a real sense of discontentment in the United States at the moment, and I think there may be some people who even sort of boycott 4th of July in some way, or refuse to celebrate it, or celebrate it in a different way, perhaps if they live in a state that is thinking about seceding the union. There's not this cohesive energy that I normally feel from the 4th of July. It feels kind of bitty, like people are kind of breaking away a little bit. It's not as whole and cohesive as 4th of July always felt to me previously. And it is a great shame, but I think it's very understandable with what's going on right now in the United States. There's a lot of arguing, there's a lot of disputes, and it's a terrible shame, I think. And the best thing that we can do, I want to say, on this day is actually, to take it easy. Yes, things may be cancelled, there may not be all the parades or parties that we might have wanted to go to, so maybe take it as a day of contemplation and meditation and think about how you can make the world a better place. And I just want to bring in some more cards for this. So we have, in addition to 4 of water, 9 of earth, 7 of air, got the High Priestess energy here. So there's a little nudge to go into your wisdom, to go into your spirituality here. If you're not feeling it, if it's not feeling quite right for you this year, go into your spirituality, lean into your spirituality or your religion, whatever works for you. So we also have the 6 of earth, and we have the Page of air. Beautiful how these have come out, really quite balanced. So although it might feel like things aren't going to plan, what I want to say is this is kind of an incubation period for the United States. Is the word I get, incubation. Yes, things are going to change, and yes, I think there will be positive changes for all of you, regardless where you fall on opinions for certain things, this, that and the other. There is a tide of positive change actually coming in for the United States, but you're not going to see it just yet. So I would say try to hang on in there. Think very carefully about your actions as well on the 4th of July or about the 4th of July, or moving forwards with regards to whether you consider yourself patriotic or whether you even like your country. I mean, some people don't like the country that they live in, or they feel very opposed to how it's run or the whole system, the whole setup. And I feel there could be protests on the 4th of July, but protests about maybe bringing down the patriarchy or something, or breaking down capitalism or the system, which isn't particularly helpful at this point. Yes, change is definitely needed, but it feels like this would be a disruptive energy. This isn't the right way to go about it, is what I want to say. Yes, change is definitely needed, but that's not the way to go about it. Certainly not on the 4th of July, because the energy just feels a little bit subdued, a little bit sad. I don't think any sort of affirmative action that you try to take on that day is going to be particularly effective or particularly helpful, particularly in the long run. So I would warn against that. I would say try to spend some time with yourself, learning about yourself, and also looking at the wisdom as well. And wisdom tells us not to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because there is a lot about the United States that's absolutely wonderful that I very much admire, you know, in some ways. I would like to live in the United States. I can see many benefits to that, you know, and I live in a very free country as it is. We have many freedoms, we have many opportunities here, but I can see how the US makes that even bigger. It's kind of like a magnifying glass. If you took the United Kingdom, put a big magnifying glass on it to make everything bigger, that's kind of what it looks like, to me anyway. Make everything bigger and more exaggerated. And with that kind of bigger energy, that exaggerated energy, yes, you can come to extremes and it can be difficult to find your balance. Particularly, I feel the disparity in wealth in the country is going to be felt very keenly this 4th of July, and there may be some very discontented people, which is understandable. And I think the best thing that we can do is to show compassion and empathy to others. Maybe you can volunteer at a soup kitchen, or, you know, help to organise a 4th of July celebration for homeless people or people who are down on their luck in financial difficulty. I think that would be a wonderful way to do it, because there is very much, and I'm bringing the last 3 cards here, there's very much a need to remember to take care of each other. And I think that's what's been missing in the United States for a long time. There's a lack of care, or there's this sense of feeling there is a lack of care for the other person. Now, I have many clients in the United States, I'm happy to say, because I love you guys. But I had one in particular, this chap I was speaking to one day. He said to me, Helen, he said, here in the United States, we're not like you Brits. We don't, we don't work to live. We live to work. And he was explaining to me about the work ethic and how different it was. And I had some inkling of that, but I did find it quite shocking. And I think that's what I want to bring through. The message I want to bring through for this 4th of July is it's not just all about the money. It's not just all about the success or the stuff or the material gains or getting ahead of the other person, keeping up with the Joneses, looking good on the outside. I feel there's a big hole in the soul of the United States right now, and that's what needs to be looked at, that's what needs to be addressed here. And I think this is the lesson that the detective wants to bring through. The detective, these are archetype cards from the archetype deck. And these are the 3 archetypes that we're looking at for the 4th of July here. So with the detective, it's asking us to really look at what's going on beneath the surface. What is causing the disharmony in the United States at the moment? What is causing the problems? And there is no quick, short, glib answer to that. It's a very complex answer. There are many different facets to it, many different layers to it. But when it comes down to it, it's a lack of taking care of one another. Now, I hasten to add, I am not in any way socialist or communist. That's not what I'm advocating. I'm advocating on a very human and individual level, looking at how you can serve others, how you can take care of other people. It may be, maybe your own family. It may be friends, your community. How can you reach out to others? How can you bring people back together so that you can be the great nation that you were always meant to be? So, and the knight as well is a very loving card. It's wanting to be the knight for other people, the knight in shining armour to help people. And I noticed on social media recently there seems to be this slur, I want to say, of calling people a white knight when they try to help people. And I really don't understand why that would be a bad thing. That's a wonderful thing to be, to step in and try and help people, support people who maybe need a bit of a backing. That's exactly what we should be doing. And I think that's very disappointing to me that people use that as a slur, as an insult. So think about where you can be that loving, not exactly hero, that's not the word I want to use, but that loving helper. What is a knight? A knight serves, they're supposed to serve their king or queen, they serve the common good, they're there to help defend the people, protect the people from invaders. That was supposed to be what they were, intended to do. Whether they did that or not, that's quite another matter. But to me, and certainly with this big heart, this is a very loving, this is somebody who comes from the heart, generally wants to help and protect, but must do it in the right way. Don't be so deluded as to think that you can be someone's hero, because that's not your job, okay? Absolutely help other people, all right? Help and support other people, but don't turn them into victims in doing so, okay? Equally, don't disempower them in doing so. And I think this detective energy, we really need to look and very keenly at how we can empower others without turning them into victims, without turning them into, without affecting their self-esteem, I want to say, and their self-worth. That can be very harmful if we over-help people, and then they can end up, with no self-worth whatsoever and completely unable to do anything for themselves, and can also become a little bit lazy with that as well. Let's not... let's put some of that responsibility on the individual as well. So there's very much a strong feel here of the responsibility of the individual. I think it will be a little bit more of a kind of subdued 4th of July than perhaps you've had previously, even compared to the past couple of years when maybe things were cancelled but people still had that hope. It is more subdued, but what I would recommend is use that wonderful 4 energy, and with 4th of July we've got, just look at the numerology there, we've got number 4, we've got number 7, which takes us to 11. So we've got a very powerful wisdom energy of 11-2 that comes from that. Number 2 being the High Priestess. So 11 being the wisdom, it's the pillars of the temple, and then it takes us to our own intuition. So tap into your intuition and really take a look at how you can make the United States a better place for everyone. So thank you very much for watching this video. Please do also check out my weekly forecast, which will include some general energy forecasts for the 4th of July. And I will see you all again soon. Have a wonderful 4th of July.